It's probably
Ready?
not essential. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Give me the go. Are we live?
Yes.
Live on it's not Black Friday or what's Sunday before Cyber Monday. Anyways, all right, we're live on the Sunday of week 12 fantasy football season. Welcome. This is Endgame Live. I'm Pierre. He is Chris, and we're here to talk about all the latest injury updates. Who's in, who's out, who's back after a long hiatus. So we got a few players who are back after being out for several weeks. Very important to know. You might want to get these players in your lineup. And of course, we're here to answer your questions. We'll try to get through this. Honestly, there's so much today. So many notes we have on these last second changes. I'm going to try really hard not to go an hour, just go over all this. But you need to know. So let's kick that off first. And then we'll get to your questions. So again, as I'm going through this information, hit us with your comments right now. Start sending questions, any advice you need for week 12. We got 2 hours till kickoff. Put them right there and we'll get to it. All right. But let's get to the first bit of news. Who is back? And as I mentioned, several big names. Start with Austin Echoler. He's been kind of hinting at this, teasing at the fact he'll come back. But we had heard all along it was week 13. And of course, surprising us, it's week 12. And it happens to coincide with the fact that Kalen Ballage is suddenly out. Okay, so Justin Jackson was already on IR. Joshua Kelly has done nothing. And so now Austin Echoler not just returning to the starting lineup, but he should get a ton of work because, frankly, they have nobody else. Don't tell me that Troy Pope is fantasy relevant. It's not going to happen. You want Echoler in your lineup. He should get a ton of work, especially against Buffalo. This could be a tough matchup for them. So Echoler is back in effect. Chris Carson, finally, and I can say this because I have Chris Carson in a couple leagues, competitive leagues. No more carousel at running back for Seattle. I know Carlos Hyde looked good for a minute. DJ Dallas, all you guys added him. You can drop him now. He's not going to get any run. Alex Collins, let's not pretend he exists because he had one decent week. You don't have to worry now because Chris Carson is going to get the bulk of the carries, and that's a Monday night game against Philadelphia. And also should bear, repeating here that Rashad Penny is actually practicing and on the way back. We could see him in a couple weeks. Okay, so all those backup running backs for Seattle, honestly, you can ditch them now unless Carson happens to have a setback. But he is back for week 12. Talk about Deebo Samuel. Also, I think it's been week 7 since he's been back. He is in the lineup. And yeah, you want to start him because Brandon Ayuk is out. So again, the Niners is like they can only have one healthy player per position. So this week it's Deebo. And against the Rams, they're going to have to pass a lot, I'm guessing, to keep up. So Deebo also kind of an instant start now that he's back. Let's keep going with the Niners because, again, half their team is injured here. Raheem Mostert is also back and Jeff Wilson at the same time. And that is their new backfield because Tevin Coleman is still out. And as you know, JaMychal Hasty, he's on IR. Jerick McKinnon is still available as far as I know. He suffered a stinger a couple weeks ago. I think he's still going to play. But again, they want to limit his snaps. He's going to be kind of the change of pace. Pass catching guy. Raheem Mostert is the one to start. Not a great matchup against the Rams, as I mentioned, but still, Mostert, he doesn't need a lot of volume to be effective. All right, let's keep it rolling. Who else is back after hiatus? David Montgomery, a little less exciting here of the Bears, but you know what? Montgomery, he's been getting a ton of touches this year. He is, I guess, their workhorse because they don't have much else. I know a lot of people are scared of the Bears offense, especially with Mitch Trubisky now at quarterback, who, oh, by the way, Mitch Trubisky is back. Not necessarily by choice, but because Nick Foles is injured. To Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, Chris, a lot of people just love to hate on Trubisky and think that the Bears offense is going to just, go up in flames without Nick Foles. It's not really like they did any better with Foles than at Trubisky. So to me, this really just means nothing. In fact, they should be a little bit better now that they have Montgomery at running back. But I mentioned this as far as Allen Robinson. I'm not benching Allen Robinson just because Mr. Trubisky is in the lineup, and I'm probably going to start Montgomery if I have him.
Yeah, no way you're benching Allen Robinson. It doesn't matter. Trubisky, Foles, doesn't matter. Montgomery, we know what he is. He gets the volume. It is a good matchup against that Green Bay run defense, which isn't very good, but game script could go against them. And I think the only guy this really impacts is Darnell Mooney, who had that stretch there with Nick Foles. Mitch Trubisky, Darnell Mooney's now fantasy irrelevant with Mitch Trubisky again. But other than that, yeah, whatever you felt about the Bears, is pretty much exactly what you should feel about the Bears with Mitch Trubisky. Doesn't really move the needle at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that usually isn't a good feeling when we talk about the Bears, even though their record isn't that bad, but it's kind of a lot of smoke and mirrors and it's just defense. But yeah, as far as the offense, I still start Allen Robinson, and actually I still start Montgomery just because how many running backs are guaranteed to get 20 plus touches, and Green Bay's run defense is still technically one of the worst in the league, so it's not a bad matchup. I think you could roll with Montgomery, and then Teddy Bridgewater, our last back. He only missed 1 week, but it's still important to know because that affects that whole offense as pass catchers, and in a pretty good spot against Minnesota, who we know still has one of the worst secondaries in the league. I feel like you can fire up all three Carolina receivers this week. Do you feel that way?
I do. I feel like you can fire all three of them up against Minnesota. They're all heavily involved. Obviously, DJ Moore has the highest upside of them all because he's kind of morphed into the deep guy. Robbie Anderson, a little safer just because he's more of the shorter route, which is really weird that he's running the shorter routes, but that's what's going on. And then Samuel, we know, especially with McCaffrey out, they use him in all kinds of different ways, running the ball, end arounds. So, yeah, I think all three wide receivers in play this week, absolutely.
And that's the question really, is which one do you rank where? Who do you think is going to have the biggest game? It's hard to know because they keep changing things. It looks like Moore is the leading receiver nowadays, but Anderson has a great matchup too. So if you have a specific question about which Carolina receiver, we'll get to that. I know they surprised last week with Phillip Walker, had some good games there, and we were a little too down on DJ Moore, but you got to kind of wait and see, right? Let's talk about who's out. And again, this list is just massively long, so we'll get through them. Talk about the guy that Christian McCaffrey in Carolina, of course, still out, but there's hope, even though he's not playing in week 13. That's because of the bye week. That means he almost surely will play in week 14 through 16 for the fancy playoffs, right?
Yeah, and I got a lot of questions about him, about the Panthers potentially shutting him down. If you had any worries that they were going to shut him down, there's no worries now. You don't bring a guy back and have him practice if you're just going to shut him down after the bye week. Like, what's the point? So Christian McCaffrey, if somehow you drafted Christian McCaffrey number 1 and you still have a chance to make it to week 14, you can rejoice because he should be back for the fantasy playoffs. And if you watch our video dropping tomorrow morning that Pierre did, I think Christian McCaffrey got ranked pretty high as far as playoff running backs go. But you got to wait till tomorrow to watch that to find out.
That's right. How high can he go? We'll see. Yeah, I don't see any shutting down happening. It's not like it was an injury that was so severe that, it's career threatening. I mean, I think if anything, they're playing extra safe with him. He could have come back this week, right? They just have no need. And I know this isn't a team that's going to make the playoffs most likely, unless they go on a crazy run and win these last 5 games. But, head coaches, especially new head coaches, typically like to win. They try to win to prove that they're good. So they'll try to put their best players in the field. So I'm not worried about McCaffrey not playing. Mark Andrews just found out he unfortunately is out if that game even gets played. I mean, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, let's just keep it this simple. You didn't want to start any Ravens anyways. If that game does get played on Tuesday, which I still think is possible, it doesn't happen. All the NFL, seems hell-bent on making it happen now. Don't start any Ravens, period. This just solidifies that with Mark Andrews being the only possible option. Lamar Jackson was already out. Ingram and Dobbins were already out. It was a tough defensive matchup to begin with. So Andrews is out. Find another tight end. I know we'll get questions about that. Julio is officially out. Chris, you've said this over and over, and you repeated it on our quarterback start set. Matt Ryan without Julio Jones is basically just you can just ignore him, right? He's not fantasy relevant at all. So even in a decent matchup, you're just ignoring Matt Ryan and maybe this whole offense today.
Well, no, I still really like Calvin Ridley because we know Matt Ryan will force him the ball, right? He'll get enough targets to be relevant. Yeah, in a 1 QB league, I don't want Matt Ryan without Julio. In a super flex or 2 QB league, sure, as your QB2, I mean, you probably don't have a better option at this point. So you got to roll him out there. But in a 1 QB league, you should be able to do better than Matt Ryan without Julio. But I still do really like Calvin Ridley because, I mean, honestly, he's going to get force-fed a bunch of targets, and he's good.
Yeah, he's going to play you don't bench. And then I wonder if we'll get questions as far as some of those deeper guys, like, someone will take his place. We've seen guys like Olamide Zaccheaus step in? Is Russell Gage going to have a day because Julio's out? Is that getting too cute?
That's getting too cute.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Adam Thielen also out with COVID. Justin Jefferson could have that same situation. Calvin Ridley be a target hog in that game. But get Thielen out of your lineup. James Conner already talked about the Ravens Steelers. James Conner has COVID. Again, Andrews and Conner, you really have to worry. Those are guys who had serious medical conditions before. Of course, Conner's a cancer survivor, had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and Andrews has diabetes. There was talk he was going to opt out before the season even began. So you really have to wonder, honestly, both of those guys, rest of the season, what their value is. Just something to keep in mind going forward. Talking about Atlanta, Todd Gurley is out. So I do like Brian Hill quite a bit. And I would have liked him better if Julio was in the lineup. But Brian Hill, do you think he could at least play that RB2 role? Because Vegas gives up a lot of touchdowns to running backs. I had Gurley as a must start until we realized he was injured. So I kind of feel like Hill could play that role, but he does tend to let us down too.
Yeah, I feel like this is a huge letdown coming. I mean, I get it. The matchup is good. It's just him and Ito Smith pretty much. So you got to feel relatively good if you're starting Brian Hill. But at the same time, if he doesn't find the end zone, I mean, I don't know what is this team going to do. But the good news is it's not the Saints, okay? It's not the Saints defense. It's the Raiders, not nearly on the level of the Saints defense last week. So I think you can feel good about him as like a 20 to 25-ish type running back, like a low-end RB2. And like you said, definitely has a chance to find the end zone. So, but don't go all crazy and starting him as like a top 10 running back or something, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's not Todd Gurley. It's first that, but also, like you said, this matchup, the Raiders, and I talked about this, they allow the second most touchdowns, technically third most because the top two are tied, but the third most rushing touchdowns to running backs. So it was a really great spot for Gurley because that's what he does best, is score touchdowns. Hill is not quite the same in the red zone, but there's a decent chance. But of course, then you're starting a guy who's maybe touchdown dependent. Moving on here, Zach Ertz is not coming back. Thought he might, but he isn't. So you can keep Dallas Goedert probably in your lineup. DJ Chark, who had been slipping recently, probably wasn't fantasy startable anyways. He is out. Chris Conley is out, but Laviska Shenault is back. So if you're desperate for a wide receiver, you need to pivot away from Julio or some of those guys. Shenault could be an option. I'm not saying he's a good option. I'm just saying he is an option. Some other quarterbacks. Oh, so many quarterbacks. You're talking about Matt Ryan still playable in Superflex. That's because these other guys are not options anymore. Tua looks like he's not going to play. So that means Ryan Fitzpatrick is back and he gets the Jets. So there's that. Jake Luton mercifully has been benched. So it's the Mike Glennon show in Jacksonville, which is why I said you might not want to start Shenault. And then Ryan Finley. Yes, he is not starting, thankfully. So Brandon Allen, Brandon Allen looked decent in a couple of games in Denver last year. Do you think this is actually an upgrade, getting the third string quarterback from the practice squad?
No. Brandon Allen,
I mean,
never completed more than like 57% of his passes last year. I think he did have one more touchdown than interception, so that's a plus. No, I mean, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to. I mean, maybe Boyd will still be okay. And if you watched our wide receiver start sit, we both talked about Higgins and Boyd. I don't want to start either of those guys this week. I get it if you have to. I mean, look at all the injuries and the guys out with COVID. You might have to. You might not have a choice. But what I'd prefer to do is just put him on the bench and see how it plays out with Brandon Allen. I think Boyd might be okay because he runs the shorter routes, the safer routes. I still don't expect him to be as good as he was with Burrow, of course. I'm really worried about T. Higgins without Burrow because, I mean, I really think what the Bengals are going to do is just try to run the ball as much as they can, only throw when they have to, like on third down, and it's just going to be terrible for the offense all around. So, no, not feeling good about it.
And there's questions talking about running the ball. There was question Gio Bernard might not even play because he was in the concussion protocol. But last week here, he is in, correct? He's going to play. So you can keep him in if you were going to. And I think he's a decent play still based on how many running backs are out. But don't worry about that tough decision of do I flex Samaje Perine? You don't have to make that decision anymore. And then a couple more running backs, Savannah, Ahmed, and Myles Gaskin. Neither are playing for the Dolphins. That means it's going to be, well, Matt Breida, I guess, the Matt Breida show and Patrick Laird. But let's just not start any Dolphins running backs probably this game because Fitzpatrick's going to throw it 50 times anyways. And then I saved the best for last here. You can keep me updated if this has changed, but every single Denver Broncos quarterback is ineligible to play because of Drew Lock has COVID and I guess the protocols because they were all together. So the quarterback, as far as I'm hearing, is going to be practice squad wide receiver Kendall Hinton, who used to play quarterback for a minute at Wake Forest and wasn't actually very good there at quarterback, which is why he's a receiver now. And Royce Freeman is the emergency quarterback. Wow, how does this make you feel? I know you're pretty high on Jared Jeudy to begin the week. I'm guessing that has changed.
Yeah. So Drew Lock did not get COVID. Just to clarify, it was one of the practice squad quarterback got COVID, but they were all in the room together, not wearing masks. So because they were high risk close contacts, they're automatically have to stay away from the team for 5 days, which means they can't play today. So yes, the Broncos literally this all happened, guys. If you're not on Twitter, if you're on Twitter like I am and you get these things and you see it all happening, this happened literally last night around like 4 p.m. Pacific time, like 7 p.m. Eastern. It was like down to the wire. But I think the NFL to punish the Broncos basically to say like, hey, your guys need to wear masks. You're going to play this game. And also to make the story even crazier, one of their coaches who hasn't played a football snap in like 8 years, but was a quarterback, I guess, was going to be is who they wanted to play quarterback. Could you imagine? Like, come on. So yeah, this guy, Kendall Hinton, they just literally signed him to the practice squad Wednesday. Like he wasn't even on the roster before Wednesday. And now he's going to be the starting quarterback. Don't start any Denver Broncos pass catchers. Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Pat, they're all out because there's no way they're going to throw the ball more than 10 times in this game. Like really, they got a guy who hasn't played. He attempted, I think, like 20 passes his junior year at Wake Forest. That's the last time he played quarterback. So they're not going to throw. They're just going to run like Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay 20 times each and run the Wildcat. And I'm sure Hinton will get some scrambles or whatever it might be. But again, he's a wide receiver, not a running back. Royce Freeman will probably be mixed in, but don't start any Broncos pass catchers. None. Don't start any of them.
Yeah, let's not get it confused here. This isn't like, a guy like Logan Thomas you saw throw a pass the other day. He's a tight end. Well, he was quarterback his whole college career, and he's actually a decent quarterback at Virginia Tech. And then he just wasn't good enough to be an NFL quarterback, so he became a tight end because he had the frame. This isn't like that. This guy was not like a prolific college quarterback that's now having to make it as a receiver. So this is an emergency quarterback. Now, I actually don't think it's too crazy if you're in a maybe 14 plus team league or if you're just desperate that you flex Kendall Hinton because he might give you good stats at receiver from passing or wildcat or something like that. But again, that's kind of a Hail Mary. You can't start Jeudy. You can't start Pat. Jeudy was banged up anyways during practice this week. Don't start Patrick. Don't start, Fant either.
Yeah, let's not forget before we move on. This is the Saints defense. They limited Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan scored 7 fantasy points against them last week. That's Matt Ryan. This is a guy who, like, come on. I don't even think you should start. I know I see some people starting him as like wide, like, oh, I got him ranked as like wide receiver 35. Okay, for a quarterback to get 12 fantasy points, he needs to throw for 200 yards and a touchdown. Is there any chance? And then people are like, well, he's going to run the ball. Well, he's going to run the ball 20. Like Taysom Hill got 50 rushing yards last week, and he's a running quarterback. Like he's not going to run for 100 yards. Like don't do it. This is like getting too cute in my opinion. That's getting too cute. Just stay away.
He isn't Taysom Hill either. That's another thing. He isn't a quarterback who has played receiver. This is an emergency quarterback.
He's 5'11", 180 pounds. He's basically me. Okay. I'm not running for 100 yards in the NFL. Now I get it. He's for sure more athletic than I am, no doubt, but come on. He's not like Taysom Hill's 6'5", 250 pounds. Like, come on. Stay away, guys. Stay away. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't outsmart yourself, as we say.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. Unless there's anything else, of course, if there's breaking news, we'll keep you updated on here. But we want to get to your questions. So here's the moment. After digesting all of that news, who's in, who's out, ask us, who do you want us to know about in your lineup, your roster? Do specify if it's PPR, standard, Superflex, whatever. Anything you think we need to know if it matters. And ask us your start sit questions right now. All right, let's get to it, Chris.
All right, let's jump into it. We got a lot of questions, guys. We're going to get to every single one of them. So if you ask a question and you're worried, don't worry. We're going to get to all of them. And again, like Pierre said, please try to specify, specify PPR, non-PPR. It makes a big difference. All right, Alden Tahirovic. And again, guys, I'm just going to say it now, so I don't have to say it throughout the show because I always say it. If I mess up your name, I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. All right. We got a backup running back question. Snell, Edwards, or Wilkins?
Okay, let me say this because also I don't even know if we mentioned it. We mentioned Jonathan Taylor's out. Jonathan Taylor's also out. That brings up a good point. We had so many outs this week that we forgot. Jonathan Taylor is out. Love Nyheim Hines this week. Now, of course, you're talking Jordan Wilkins. A little different. I still am of the opinion you want to avoid the Steelers-Ravens game if at all possible. Snell has not looked great in the time that he's played. I know he's kind of the guy now, but still, I have the feeling what the Steelers like to do, even against a team like Jacksonville, like the other day, is they'll just pass the ball, right? And they're not going to worry about establishing the run. So I would probably lean toward Wilkins.
Yeah, I agree. And it's simply because, like you said, I'm avoiding the Steelers Ravens players unless your league has some kind of condition. Like Pierre and I are in a league together where we decided as a condition you can nominate a player as basically a backup in case the game doesn't go. But if your league doesn't have that, if you wake up tomorrow morning and there's more positive tests, or you wake up Tuesday morning and there's more positive tests, and they're like, okay, we can't play this game, you're taking a 0. At least with Wilkins, he's gonna get some work on the ground. He can always score a touchdown. I think you've got to start Wilkins. You can't run the risk of starting Edwards or Snell and taking that 0. So I agree.
Yeah, and I'll just say in a vacuum, I would take Edwards for sure as the first if it was, as it is now. But this game didn't just get moved from Thursday to Sunday. This game got moved to Tuesday, and there's still an outbreak on the Ravens. There's still more players getting tested. I don't see it happening, honestly. So I would just do the smart thing and just don't waste a roster spot. I would avoid it altogether.
Exactly. All right, Sven 1 FR Avila. Good to see you, buddy. You're here every morning. Appreciate you. Are you guys buying the New Orleans defense against Denver? And then he talks about So how do you feel about the New Orleans DST against Denver?
Let me just check to make sure. Do I have them as my number 1 defense this week or my number 2? Let's see. Yes, I have them number 1. So 1,000% you're buying it. We already just finished talking about the Denver situation there. They don't have an actual quarterback. This isn't like a juggernaut offense anyways, right? It's not like, Patrick Mahomes is out and so is the backup quarterback for Kansas City. This is the Denver Broncos. Okay, so 1,000% you stay into your chalk defense this week.
Yeah, the only concern for me with the Saints is, again, I don't think the Broncos are even going to attempt more than 10 passes. So it might be hard to get sacks or interceptions. But at the same time, Denver's Vegas implied total, which if you guys don't know, that's how many – basically when you look at the over-under, that's the combination of two. That says how many points Vegas expects Denver to score. It's 10.25. That's got to be the lowest I've ever seen in my life. 10 points. And even that seems optimistic, right? That means they got to score a touchdown. So the floor here is insanely high with New Orleans DST. They're probably not even going to give up a touchdown, right? Unless they just give up at the end of the game. So yeah, they got to be the number 1 defense for sure, without a doubt.
And the great thing with this matchup is the Saints defense has specialized against the run, not the pass. Right? They can give up some yards in the passing game at times, though they didn't last week. But that's where they would be vulnerable. Well, now you don't have to worry about that. Now they can stack like 10 guys in the box and sell out completely. And so I wouldn't even feel that great about Melvin Gordon or Phillip Lindsay. So yeah, Saints, you got to go with the Saints defense if possible.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Matt S. And I think he clarified down here on the screen. Okay. Pick 2, PPR, AJ Brown, Michael Thomas, DJ Moore. Ooh, some good choices.
Wow. 3 good choices. Okay, so here's the question back to you, Chris, is how high do you have those Carolina receivers between Moore and Anderson and Samuel? And I'm going to, kind of have the pendulum swing back towards Moore's side. I have Moore the highest of those 3, but higher than Thomas or Brown? I don't. I would have Brown and Thomas first. But now the whole thing with the Saints makes me wonder, well, are the Saints even going to have to pass the ball?
Yeah, honestly, I think I would go AJ Brown and DJ Moore. And nothing against Michael Thomas. We saw him get targeted a bunch last week, but he's not going to – like DJ Moore has that big play upside against Minnesota, as does A.J. Brown, not against Minnesota, obviously, but he has that big play upside. I mean, yeah, Michael Thomas might catch 7 or 8 passes and get you 80 yards is 90 yards, which, hey, that's a great game. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's a great game. But DJ Moore could get you 70 yards and a touchdown or two, and same with A.J. Brown. So I think you got to go with those two guys over Michael Thomas, even though they're all great choices. Like, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah. Don't kick yourself either way, because it's, whoever you pick, you could pick the guy who, doesn't have a good game. But like A.J. Brown is tough because that's obviously really tough defense in Indianapolis. And then he had a bad game against them 2 weeks ago, only 21 yards. But that doesn't mean it'll happen again. And we know what we talked about, right? When they played Baltimore, said, well, you can't sit Brown just because of the negative matchup, because he could take any play to the house. And guess what he did? He took that one play and bowled through the, tacklers and scored touchdowns. So I don't ever sit Brown at this point. Thomas would be the one I would think, maybe, just because of the whole weird thing that's happening in Denver with that team. So I would say Moore. I would lean a little bit towards Moore.
All right, Greg Churinkin. In a must-win week, 2 spots to fill in PPR. He's got Pittman and Rager in his lineup at the moment. And then he's got to choose between between Pittman, Rager, Higgins, and Drake in PPR. You've got to choose 2 of those.
Who's the third one? Pittman, Rager,
Higgins, and Drake.
Oh, Higgins. Well, I think we're out on Higgins, right, for the reasons we discussed. Yeah. And I know you're never really in on Drake. You're a never Drake guy, but how do you feel this matchup? It's not a bad matchup, really. I don't think New England gives too much resistance against the run.
No, but I mean, are we banking on Drake getting 5? Drake had 11 targets on the entire season and then got 5 targets in the last game. Are we banking on that again? Are we banking on Kenyon Drake getting 5 targets again? Because I'm not. And if he didn't score that touchdown, what did he really get you in that game? He got a 1 yard. I mean, and he can always score that 1 yard touchdown. He's always got a chance. So I think I like Pittman and Rager in PPR. I think I like those choices.
Yeah, Drake's the wild card for me. I would say not Higgins, because he's looked good and he's been getting a lot of work. A lot more touches than we even imagined. Is this going to be more of a Drake game or an Edmonds game? It's probably just going to be a split, like you said. So I love both Pittman and Rager this week. You have to start Rager against Seattle's secondary. And then Pittman had his 100-yard game 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I would keep both those guys in.
Yeah. All right. Now, I think we're going to get this question a lot today, actually, or something similar to this from Scar17S. Full PPR, James Robinson or Austin Eckler?
Austin Eckler is going to be an interesting choice because we haven't seen him. I'm 0% worried about Eckler and putting him in my lineup. So, but here's the thing: James Robinson's been a kind of a set and forget guy with Mike Glennon at quarterback. I mean, you like to say, well, maybe that'll be better than Luton. If it was better, why didn't they have him starting 3 weeks ago? So, I would probably keep Eckler in there because Cleveland's defense has been pretty solid. And I just don't know that Robinson has as high of a ceiling this week.
Yep, I agree. Against Buffalo, this should be a shootout. Justin Herbert's looked amazing, of course. The only risk with Eckler is, and I feel better about him with Ballage out, but the only risk here is, like, are they going to give him a full workload in his first game back after missing however many weeks it's been, since week 4, I think. But even still, I think he can do plenty of damage on a limited role. I think Eckler is the play as well.
Especially, and I'll just say this, looking it up, Ian Rappaport says that Eckler is going to get a quote-unquote significant carries in week 12. So, I mean, there you go.
I don't care. You hear this all the time. You know what? Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr. last night, right? Which is ridiculous. That is just like the cherry on top of 2020, right? But Mike Tyson used to have a great quote. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And it's the same thing with these NFL coaches. Sure, you go into the game with a plan to have this guy do this or this guy do this. But once something starts working or something's not working, that game plan is out the window and you're doing something totally different. So look, maybe Anthony Lynn wants Eckler to get 20 carries and catch 10 passes, but that doesn't mean that's how it's going to go, right? So don't buy into that kind of stuff. But certainly, I mean, without Ballage, his competition is almost none. So you got to think he's going to get a decent amount of work. So
And that's
And again,
exactly it. I mean, with Balaj out, I think they have no choice but to give him significant carries, and they're probably going to be losing to Buffalo, at least if not early, late on, because that's what the Chargers do. Their defense has been terrible lately, so I buy into that at least because that's how I think the game flow is going to go.
yeah, and it's full PPR, so that to me gives
Yeah.
him the edge over Robinson because he's more than likely going to catch more passes. All right, here's another interesting one from Luke Rosenquist. Chase Claypool or James White in half PPR? We're going to get a lot. I think we're going to get a lot of Pittsburgh-Baltimore questions too today.
I mean, I'm probably going to have to keep giving the same answer. I knocked Claypool down a bunch in rankings. I can't take the 0 there, especially for a lot of you guys. This is must win, right? The fantasy playoffs are right around the corner. Even if you are first or second place, you want to hold on to that lead. You might be playing for a bye, whatever the case is. I don't want to risk it. James White, actually not a bad play. We talked about how Rex Burkhead now out for the season. White is going to be the pass catching back, which he should have been all along, but he's going to be the only pass catching back. So I would stick with White.
Yeah, I agree. I know it's half PPR, which hurts White a little bit, but still, like you said, you can't take a chance of this game getting canceled, which looks more and more likely every day, and getting that 0. At least get some points from. I like James White this week. I think New England's going to have to throw. There's no Rex Burkhead. I think he's going to get a decent amount of targets, a decent amount of receptions, and he can always score. He can catch a pass from the 5, 6, 7 yard line and take it into the end zone. So it's not like he has no ceiling either. All right, Brian Pepin. Oh, wow. This is our 2. If you guys watched our QB must start, must sit, these are each of our must start QBs. So who you got? Cam Newton or Taysom Hill in the flex? Full PPR, which I guess, could matter because.
Well, Taysom Hill could matter. Well, that's the question. So is he basically asking like, who you trust more? It's me or you, or is he trying to get us to debate now?
Yeah. What are you doing over here, Brian Pepin? What's your real motive here, Brian?
What's your end game? But honestly, it's changed though, because Taysom Hill, yeah, you still want to start him, but okay, how is that game going to go with Denver putting up probably not more than 10 points? You gotta think it's going to be a more conservative plan. I actually kind of think that they are going to try to get Kamara more involved anyways. I think they'll be able to. So Cam Newton might actually have the higher upside here. Cam Newton's a little more risky just because we know, for some reason this year especially, he's had his ups and downs. Sometimes he comes out, he just looks terrible, right? And he just throws interceptions. You can't get it going. Do you feel like that he could do that against Arizona's defense? Maybe, right? They have some playmakers in the secondary. So I would say Hill is the safer play, but if you're shooting for upside, it's still Newton.
Yeah, I'm just worried, like you said. Now, look, the Saints, no, they don't have to worry about the pass. It's not like this guy had a full week of practice. He literally got told last night, you're the starter. So he hasn't even gotten to practice as a QB or anything. It's not like he knows right, like he has any kind of connection. The Saints know this. They're just going to stack the box, probably run the ball a bunch. I kind of like Latavius Murray this week as well because I think he's going to get a ton of carries again. Yeah, Taysom Hill will run the ball from here to there, but he's probably not going to throw very much, not even as much as he did last week. So and Cam Newton against Arizona, those games are always fast-paced against Arizona. They force the other team to run more plays than they usually do because Arizona moves up and down the field so fast. So he's going to get more opportunities. He'll run the ball as well, so it's not like Taysom has him on that. So I think I like Cam Newton more this week, but just only because of that situation in Denver. It's just crazy. All right, Sven1FR Vila, another one. Full PPR, pick one. AJ Brown, Raheem Mostert, Brian Hill.
Interesting. So like Hill this week, but not over those guys. I mean, there's no way I would start him over AJ Brown, even if it was even better matchup. So I would scratch Hill from that. I know you would too. Mostert's interesting, but I still think I would stick with Brown just because even if Mostert's 100% healthy, it's a terrible matchup. The Rams don't just have a good defense. They have one of the best defenses, period, but also best run defenses. I believe they're top 2 in the league. So I think you stick with Brown.
Yeah, I agree. Stick with Brown. And just got word, Gio Bernard is officially active. So if you're worried about that, he's good to go. Then MDF Law basically asks us, so we both pick AJ Brown. So here's the very next question from NDF Law. Brian Hill or Mostert in PPR?
Brian Hill or Mostert?
Yeah.
In PPR, I don't think that matters too much. Mostert's not really a pass catching back. Hill probably will get more receptions than he will, but I don't think it's a difference maker. And so Hill has the touchdown upside, to be honest. I already talked about how, the Raiders are giving up the third most touchdowns to running backs. And the Rams, I'm correct myself here. They're the fourth best run defense in the league. I would probably stick with the volume, and I think it's going to be Hill, to be honest.
Really? No, I got to go Mostert in this offense. I just think the upside is too high. And no Tevin Coleman. I mean, yeah, okay, McKinnon's there and Wilson's there, but I don't know. I think I know they're a tough run defense, but still, it doesn't matter. The Shanahan run game, I just believe in it too much, I guess. I got to go Mostert. And I'm just so worried about Brian Hill. God, every time it's Brian Hill week, it never happens. Right?
Pretty much. Yeah, he's like the Alexander Madison also.
Yeah, it's Alexander Madison.
Here's his chance.
Yeah. All right. Estelle K. Here's an interesting one. Montgomery or Gallman?
Actually, for me, this is sort of easy. I got Gallman as a top 15 running back this week. I mean, Cincinnati is just, not intentionally, but they're probably going to be rolling over at this point because their season's done. Not that they were going to make the playoffs in the first place, but yeah, at this point, there's just little resistance. This is one of the worst run defenses. Anyways, Gallman's usage has been ramping up. You see his carries had been going up for 3 straight weeks before the bye. He scored a touchdown every game. You can't convince me he's not going to score a touchdown against the Bengals this week. So I got Gallman.
Yeah, I got Gallman too. You got to think the Giants are going to be in control in this one. So that means a lot of running. Whereas Montgomery, you got to worry that the Packers are going to get up 2 or 3 scores in this game, and he's going to be phased out of the offense pretty much, right? So definitely I like Gallman better. All right, TS, pick 2 in PPR. Echoler, Hines, Wilkins, I assume Brian Hill, or Wayne Gallman.
Okay, out of that bunch, I would leave Wilkins for last.
Yeah.
I do like Hines. Eckler's a must start, right? We got to have Eckler's one.
Yeah, Echoler for sure.
And I think you would probably agree we scratch Wilkins from that group.
Yeah, out of that group, he's last.
Okay, so we got Hines and then Hill and
Gallman.
Okay, so that's tough again for me. I know, Chris, you could probably have Hill lower. You'd probably say not Hill compared to those others, right? And actually, I do have Hill a little bit lower than Gallman, so I would say I would scratch him. Hines is interesting because, again, we saw what he did 2 weeks ago, scored those 2 touchdowns and had, I think, 115 all-purpose yards against the Titans, and now Jonathan Taylor's out. So Hines has a really high floor, but is it higher than Gallman's? I don't know. I think I still have Gallman just a little bit ahead.
Interesting. I think I got to go with Hines just because it's PPR. We know he's going to get the passes. We know Phillip Rivers loves to throw to the running back. No Jonathan Taylor. So he'll probably get a decent amount of carries as well. But yeah, I like Gallman a lot too. It's close between those two. But I think in PPR, I'd give the edge slightly to Hines.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Now, so Gallman's had exactly 1 catch each of the last 3 weeks. They've actually had a really tough schedule as far as against the run defenses have gone against the Giants have. So I feel like this could be Gallman's biggest game, but is it going to be bigger than Hines? That's a tough question. So I still have a slight edge toward Gallman, but I can definitely see why you'd play Hines because I love me some Hines this week too.
Yeah, it's close, but definitely Echoler. And then I don't know if you like Pierre more, you play Gallman. If you like me more, you play Hines. There you go.
There you go. It's easy.
All right. Easy. Vishwa Venkatasan. Montgomery over Mike Davis today?
No, I still go Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis. Also, I'm torn starting Wilson against the Eagles or Allen against the Chargers. Wow. You have Russell Wilson and Josh Allen?
All right. I mean, you don't have a bad option there. I'm trying to see who I have higher. I have them right. I have them 2 and 3 for quarterback this week.
I'll say this. I'm going to say
Wilson.
Wilson. I'm going to say Wilson only because John Brown is out. And if you look at that stretch of games where Josh Allen wasn't great, those were the games where John Brown missed. Now it's the Chargers. I still expect him to have a big game, but that does hurt him a little bit. So I'll give the edge to Russell Wilson. But, I mean, dude, yeah, you got 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks. You can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking. I have Wilson ahead. I have Wilson 2 and Allen 3. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, it doesn't matter because Chris Carson's back, but that actually doesn't make it worse for Wilson. Going back to what you said, when Carson was in the lineup at the beginning of the year, that's when Russ was an MVP candidate, right? And people are wondering, well, why is he turning the ball over? Why are they struggling? As soon as Chris Carson went out and the run game wasn't there, that's when he was forcing the ball, trying to do too much. He didn't have, his guy in the backfield. So I feel like he'll be perfectly fine this week. But yeah, I give the slight edge to Wilson.
All right. And then Christian Hernandez just asked about Sami Watkins. Last I heard, he has a good chance to play against the Bucs, though. So, for whatever that's worth.
I haven't given a thought to Sami Watkins for like the past 3 years. So
Right.
I don't care if he plays. I'm never starting Sami Watkins because he'll make it halfway through the game. Even if he plays, when's the last time Sami Watkins actually had a fantasy relevant game when people started him? That wasn't week 1 of a season, right? Week 1, he gets all his season stats and then he's done.
Yeah, exactly. Next year, if you have Sami Watkins, just start him week 1 and then drop him.
Yeah.
It's every year.
Or all trade him. Try to trade him.
Yeah, or try to trade him, even better. Jeremiah Hudson, standard scoring, Antonio Brown or Echoler at flex.
You got to go with Echoler. Actually, it doesn't even matter. If you're doing standard, it doesn't benefit either. You'd go with the running back probably anyways. But yeah, I'm going Echoler.
Yeah, definitely Echoler. Plus Antonio Brown, it's not like he's getting the end zone looks or the red zone looks. Right, he's more of a PPR player. And then
exactly, his value is in targets, right? He got peppered with target last week because they decided, hey, let's make Antonio Brown and the thing. And it doesn't mean they'll be this week, but again, without that point per reception, yeah, exactly, it's kind of risky.
And then still standard, Hooper or Tonyan. Tonyan at tight
end. Hooper is, he keeps disappointing us, but the matchup is still too good to ignore, and you can't trust Tonyan week to week. I mean, he's touchdown dependent, so I get it. Well, he could score a touchdown over Hooper, but are you going to count on that?
I know it's like every week you look at Hooper's matchup, you're like, oh, you got to play him, and then he does nothing. But I got to roll him. I got to trust it again. I go with Hooper. Got to go with Hooper. Edwin Norgase, Justin Jefferson or Michael Pittman in his flex half PPR.
It's got to be Jefferson. I like Pittman this week, but I mean, Jefferson's like a top 20 receiver anyways, regardless, each week. And then now with Thielen out, he's going to get peppered with targets.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. It's so frustrating because I have Jefferson in one league, and it's like they're like 3 yards from the goal line, and it's like Adam Thielen touchdown. You just keep seeing Adam Thielen touchdown. It's like, can Justin Jefferson get a touchdown? Well, hopefully this week he can get touchdowns now because Adam Thielen can't. And by the way, I hope Adam Thielen recovers. I'm not like, it's COVID, it's serious. I hope everything's okay with Adam Thielen. But I'd still like a Justin Jefferson touchdown this week if that's not too much to ask for. And
that's
then
not too much to ask.
Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
For me, it's definitely Rodgers. The Bears have a tough defense, but it's not going to stop Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it ever has before. Brady is just, he's frustrating too, because I spoke on this before last week. At home, he just hasn't been playing well, period. And I know that this could be a game where he gets a lot of yards just because Kansas City gets up on them, right? They're forced to pass the ball. Probably what's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be productive. We've seen Brady turn the ball over this year more than ever, right? And I mean, it's kind of boom bust with Brady, but I'm not worried about starting Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And guys, just real quick, we're getting a lot of questions. We're going to get to all of them, I promise. So stick around. We're going to get to your question. If it's down at the bottom, don't worry. We are going to get to it. We get to all of them. So don't freak out that you're not going to get your question answered. It will get answered. All right, kicks for Mike. Another standard league question, although it doesn't matter for this one. Herbert or Kyler Murray? Well, I guess it does. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown, it might matter.
I love Herbert this week, but Kyler Murray has to be. Again, I'm not worried too much about the New England pass defense. It's not what it was last year, so it's got to be Kyler Murray. He has that rushing upside.
Yeah, Murray is in your lineup every single week. It doesn't matter. You don't even.
Right. No
and
question.
then Miles Sanders or Raheem Mostert, and again, standard scoring.
For me, it's definitely Miles Sanders. I mean, Sanders is kind of a top 10 guy every week. He's sort of matchup proof just because he can bust that big run.
Exactly. Agree. All right, Chad Anderson, our first Edwards-Helaire question. Let's see if we can do this without fighting. Edwards-Helaire, Echoler, Hunt, Carson. What are you in like an 8-team league or Mike Davis in PPR? He needs 2 of those.
Wow. Okay. You're making the playoffs.
Yeah. Like, are you already locked into the number 1 seed? What the heck?
Okay. Well, if that's easy, then the Edwards-Helaire part is pretty easy. You can keep him last out of those choices. I have him last.
Yeah. Exactly. Out of those, he's last.
Eckler, I think we both say is kind of a must start. And then I would probably say Hunt. Yeah. Either way.
Yeah, Echoler for sure. And then it's close for me between Hunt and Carson. But I will give Hunt a slight edge in that matchup. And look, we know we know the Browns want to run. So yeah, I think it's Echoler and Hunt for sure. But those are some good choices. All right, Joe Morano. Do you guys think the Steelers game will be played? I do not.
I don't see how. Because again, it's not just several players have it. It's the fact that they've already moved this game to Tuesday only because that's the latest they could physically do it and still be part of this week. And they really don't want to move it. But again, just saw this morning that there's more Ravens who are getting it. This is just who's been confirmed to have it. This is just the players who have tested. Once they get more tests back, there's going to be more. I just don't see it possible. And then do they really want what I guess would be a primetime game on Tuesday without Lamar Jackson, without their running backs, without James Conner, I'm telling you, it's just going to take one more big name to test positive, and I don't think it's going to be played. But even if it does, for fantasy in this late in the season, you just probably avoid it altogether.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads us right into our next question from Kevin Luna. This might be the only time I pick T. Higgins. Snell or T. Higgins?
T. Higgins for that question. Yeah, I mean, I would probably pick T. Higgins anyways, just because, Snell is just not, even as a feature back, what can we really expect from him?
Right. And then Tannehill or Taysom Hill?
I'll go with my must start Taysom Hill still. Even with all the weirdness, still, yeah, I'd go with him. I mean, Tannehill's a horrible matchup. Yeah,
horrible. We saw last time they played Indy, he did nothing. So, yeah, I think you got to go Taysom Hill. I agree. Jessica Bell, Mostert or Gore? Gore, who I'm starting, by the way, because I have to, in standard scoring.
And standard, so there you go. It doesn't hurt to ding him there. I mean, he's the guy now, right? Brian's hurt. Homecoming to Miami, not just because he played for the Dolphins, but of course, a Kane. So Frank Gore is not a terrible option, but he's kind of the safe, boring option because the ceiling is maybe like 65 yards, maybe 70. You hope he gets a touchdown. And then Mostert, he could do that in one play. So I'd still have to go with Mostert.
Yeah, still got to go with Mostert here for sure. All right, Corey Spencer, Mike Davis, James. What the heck? How do you have all these running backs? Mike Davis, James Robinson, Chris Carson. I guess I could see how you have them. Austin Eckler, pick 2 in PPR.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's Corey's working the waiver wire was really smart at the beginning of the year because you scooped up Robinson early and then got Mike Davis. So that's how you win, right? Making smart moves.
Well done. Yeah, well done, Corey. So we got to pick 2 of those in PPR.
I'd go with the guys you drafted. Go with Carson and Eckler. I know Davis is a really solid pick, but I would still stick with those 2. I don't think there'll be limitations on them. I know that's the worry, really, right? Is how many touches are they going to get? I don't think they would bring them back, if they weren't ready. So that's who I would go, Carson, Eckler.
So you have Carson over Robinson?
It's close. It's like I said, Carson's kind of the wild card here, just because Philly can be tough on the run. But I feel like I might have Carson over Robinson.
Yeah, it's close. Definitely Echoler, but then it's close between Carson and Robinson. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Carson too. Give me the guy in the better offense with a chance, multiple chances to score. Whereas James Robinson, that offense might not even sniff the red zone. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean you're on your third quarterback. It's not a good situation, but Robinson will get all the touches. We know that.
Yeah.
But still, that offense could be a mess because now they're missing two of their receivers too.
Right. All right. H catch 23. We got our first Kendall Hamilton question. Is it Hamilton? Is it Hinton? Kendall Hinton? Kendall Hinton? Kendall Hinton or Henry Ruggs at wide? Wow. Or Henry Ruggs at wide receiver.
I mean, you throw in a Hail Mary, you might as well go deep. I'd go Hinton because Ruggs has done nothing. So, yeah, go with the guy you know is going to touch the ball, right?
Yeah, this might be the one time I pick Hinton because they're both Hail Marys. So exactly like you said, give me the guy who, hey, maybe he'll throw for 100 yards and rush for 30 yards and throw a touchdown. Who knows, right?
At least he'll get you some rushing yards. You know that. I mean, even if he doesn't complete a pass, I mean, they'll have him run the ball, I would think. Ruggs has done really nothing. It's amazing how he looked so great those couple games he played, and then now just I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if he's not 100% healthy or what, but you can't start Ruggs.
No. All right, Kevin Rodgers, standard scoring, Darius Slayton, Nelson Aguilar, T. Higgins. Pick one.
That's an interesting question. Aguilar has been making some plays, right? Now he's reached the end zone too, so that's not a bad play. Would I have him over Slayton? Probably not, just because again that Cincinnati defense is, been putting up little resistance, and especially now, they're probably going to be on the field a lot. So I would still probably lean Slayton, but it's really close.
Yeah, I got to go with Slayton in this matchup. I know Aguilar has looked good, but I mean, you could have those games where he does nothing, right? Where he just does nothing. So I got to go Slayton.
And the thing, let me just say real quickly, I know I get Aguilar, especially against Atlanta defense. That's a great matchup. So you think it's good, but how much are the Raiders really going to have to throw it? Because again, without Julio, without Gurley, Atlanta's hurting. This could turn into more of a low scoring game where, the Raiders aren't forced to pass it like they were, with Kansas City the other day. So
exactly.
He's a lot more boom bust. I mean, both players are boom bust anyways.
All right, Darren Hopkins, full PPR, Lockett, Godwin, or Jefferson. I assume we're just picking one of those.
Ooh, that's tough. For me, Godwin's at least trustworthy. I know Lockett has also been kind of all or nothing. I moved DK Metcalf down just because he's going to get shadowed by Darius Slay. So I think it's probably more of a Lockett week. And that's probably where I would lean. And I'm going to confirm it with my rankings, but I think I have Lockett highest of those three.
See, I'm not worried. Darius Slay hasn't really been that good this year. I don't know. I mean, I still do like Lockett a lot this week, but man, I gotta take Justin Jefferson with no Thielen. Like, I mean, sure, Kirk Cousins could disappoint us all and just throw to Kyle Rudolph and they run it 40 times and they just throw to Kyle Rudolph and it's like, what the heck happened? But really, this just seems like too good of a spot for Justin Jefferson for me to ignore.
And that's true. It could be. I mean, Jefferson, again, you only have to pick one of those guys. That's a pretty tough call. But I don't know. I guess for me, I try to, visualize game flow, how it's going to go, who's going to have to pass, where they're going to pass it. I feel like Philly will at least force Seattle to pass the ball more because they not really a funnel defense, but they're a lot tougher against the run and they're easier to pass on. And I don't know with Carolina, again, they're just a lot more generous against the run. So I don't know how much Minnesota will pass the ball because Dalvin Cook could have 200 yards again.
Yeah. It's close. It's definitely close. I like Jefferson. So again, if you like Pierre, you pick Lockett. If you like me, you pick Jefferson. There you go. There you go. All right. CB asks, he needs two. He didn't specify scoring format, so we'll just assume PPR because they're wide receivers. AB, Pittman, Corey Davis, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Needs 2 of those guys.
The Cup Woods. I hate the Cup Woods question because you never know. It's like last week they should have done nothing, and they had their season best. Okay, and so here's the other thing. Cup and Woods last time against San Francisco got shut down, did nothing. So do you trust what happened, a few weeks ago when they had the same defense, or do you trust what's happened lately with the Rams offense where the pass offense has been great? Goff's throwing 300 yards for what I think it's like 3 straight weeks or something. But Richard Sherman is coming back, which could affect probably Woods more than Cup. So for those reasons, I probably would have to keep Woods out, which always worries me. But I don't know who.
I think I would go.
Somebody you would stretch?
I would go Pittman and Kupp would be my choices.
Yeah,
I just like the upside of Pittman too much.
Yeah, it's tough to put a guy like Pittman over a guy like Woods. You know what I mean? But
yeah. One thing about the Rams, you talk about them. They don't have Andrew Whitworth, who's one of the best blocking linemen in the NFL, has been out. And we've seen what it's done to that running game. That running game has not been very good, and they have had to throw the ball more. Now, will they need to throw the ball more today? Like, is San Francisco going to force them to throw the ball? Like, are they going to put them in that negative game script where they feel like we got to throw the ball?
But that's the thing with the Rams is like they don't care about game script. Like they do the opposite of what's expected, and they pass when you think they could run. And I mean, like last week, who saw that they were going to throw the ball 50 times? So it's I can't trust Sean McVay, his offense. So it's hard for me to do it. But I would probably have to sit Woods, but I could still start Kupp. And what were the other options? Is Pittman and who else? Was there another one?
AB and Corey Davis.
Yeah, you can't. No, not Corey Davis. And then, I mean, that's a terrible matchup for him. And I don't know that I would put AB over them. So I probably agree with you. Go with Pittman and Kupp.
Yeah, but like you said, Woods could go off for like 30 points on your bench any week. So, Doom all caps. What's up, man? Good to have you back. Right. He's in a standard scoring league, and he wants to know if you should start Benny Snell or Chase Edmonds. And he's a little concerned about the Steelers game, as you should be. So it's Edmonds. It's Edmonds simply it's Edmonds anyways, probably.
Right.
But it's also Edmonds because that game may not get played, and you want the points from Edmonds. And Edmonds can get you a touchdown. He can get you, even though it's standard, and Edmonds has a little more value in PPR, he can still get you like 40, 50 yards and a touchdown. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be a huge Edmonds week, but yeah, I mean, I would have him above Snell anyways, like you said. So just avoid that game.
All right, here we go. Patrick Sig, another DJ Moore or Michael Thomas?
I had Michael Thomas ahead of DJ Moore. Now I'm kind of thinking more, and again, it depends what you're looking for, but I typically try to go with upside, shoot for ceiling as opposed to playing it safe. I do that with both my rankings and my lineups, and, it doesn't always work, but again, what wins you a week in fantasy football? The guy who got you a few points and, didn't give you a 0, or having that guy who scores 30, 40 points. Usually you look at a winning lineup, it's when you have that one player who win off, right? You have Antonio Gibson, like you feel like pretty good. You're already going to win, this week because, so if that's the case, now I would say that if that's the case, like if you had huge Thursday performances and you feeling pretty good, maybe you just said Michael Thomas, don't worry about it. But, DJ Moore is still, I think he's still pretty safe this week too.
Yeah, I got to play DJ Moore. It's crazy to think this is where we're at. But yeah, Michael Thomas is the safer option, the higher floor probably. But again, I don't think they're going to throw it very much. Probably not going to score a touchdown. So I got to go with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
All right, Oscar Saka. Hey, fam, should I drop Alan Lazard for Cam Akers rest of season? That is a Pierre question. These are your guys. These are
both my guys. So he's asking which he's wanting me to choose loyalty. Pick between my boys. I love Lazard, but no, at this point, Akers, look, could Lazard come back to what he did the first 3 weeks? And yeah, he could. But what's going to win you? What's more valuable? Having a running back that could go off? Yeah, you got to stick with the running back at this point. It might not happen for Akers this year, but I mean, if Henderson gets hurt or if they just decide, hey, let's actually let Akers play. Yeah, I got to keep Akers.
Yeah, unless you're like stacked at running back and you need the wide receiver help, I agree. Akers. All right, let's see. Okay, Lucas Garner. Oh, here's a good one. Hines or Drake in full PPR?
Yeah, full PPR, I'm going Hines. Actually, I'd probably go Hines even standard because he's scoring just as many touchdowns as Drake.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like I said, I don't expect Drake to get 5 targets again. That was literally half the amount of targets he had in the entire season prior to that game. It was just a weird game. I like Hines. And then he also asks Jordan Reed. I think you actually mentioned this exact scenario in the QB tight end start sit when you had Jonnu Smith as a sit. I think you actually said you would rather start a guy like Jordan Reed over him. So Jordan Reed or Jonnu Smith, full PPR.
I go Jordan Reed. The only thing let me check because I've seen a Q, not surprisingly, by Jordan Reed's name all week. You know, he's forever questionable even when healthy. I don't think he'll ever get to 100% health for the rest of his life. But I think, let's see, make sure he's still playing. And of course, it doesn't say. So we're going to assume Jordan Reed is going to play because I haven't heard that he's not. I think he just, like I said, it's just like he's contractually obligated to have the Q by his name every single week. So I would go with Reed. Yeah. I mean, Ayuk is out, like we said. There's still not a lot of pass catchers in San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree. Got to go Jordan Reed. Brass Crown Monkey. Higgins, Moss, or Lazard in half PPR?
Well, all right. Now that's going to take some thought here. I don't see any really compelling reason to start Moss. I mean, he's touchdown dependent, pretty much completely, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I like Lazard, but I hate the matchup because it's with the Bears. But MVS, I think, is out, so that does help. So I do have some interest in Lazard. It's not a must start week yet for him. Higgins, man, it's just so tough. I mean, I would have to lean toward Lazard just because I'm getting the guy tied to Aaron Rodgers as opposed to, Brandon Allen.
Yeah, exactly. It's Alan Lazard. It's not like, oh, I love Alan Lazard this week, but it's like, I like him better than those guys. All right, David Waxman. Here we go. Another Kendall Hinton. Standard scoring. Kendall Hinton. Oh, man. Chase Claypool. Or A.J. Brown. Choose 2. Now, A.J. Brown for sure. Yeah, so now, what do you do? Sure. You got Chase Claypool or Kendall Hinton. You got, oh, my God, this is horrible spot to be in. This is a terrible, terrible spot to be in. This is when fantasy football is not fun.
This is why you play best ball.
Yeah,
well, of course, you play best ball. You don't have Kendall Hinton anyways, but yeah.
Every league should have been best ball this year. Every league should have been best ball in 2020. It would have been way better.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's such a 2020 question, but that's so overused. We can't use that in about a month from now. We won't be able to use that anymore. Man, okay, so here's the thing. If that game does get played, which we don't think it will, but if it does, you're going to hate yourself for having Claypool on the bench. So, can I cop out and say it depends? Depends on your matchup. It depends on how many points you got coming out of Thanksgiving, and depends on. I mean, obviously, Hinton is just desperation. That's like, if that game gets canceled, I have to start Hinton, but you can't do that because it's on Tuesday. So,
yeah,
honestly, if it was me and I had that situation, I'm not expecting a lot of Hinton anyways. So I would probably just keep Claypool in.
Oh, this is so tough. And it's like you said, it is situation dependent. Like, did you have some big games on Thursday? It looks like you're going to destroy your opponent. Maybe he had some terrible games on Thursday. Maybe he or she doesn't have a very good team. Then just roll with Hinton and hope for like 8 points and say, okay, thank you. I got my 8 points. I'll take it and run. Otherwise, if you need upside, you gotta leave Claypool in and just hope that game gets played. I mean, the NFL really, really, really wants to play this game, but the problem is if you wake up Monday morning and there's more positives, and then you wake up Tuesday morning and there's more positives, you really can't play it. So yeah, tough situation, man. Good luck with that. That's the best we can do, honestly. It's just a horrible situation. All right, Kareem Rose, tighten up. Here's another tough one. Tannehill or Big Ben? Oh, man. Oh, this is this is such a good spot for Big Ben. It's such a terrible spot for Tannehill.
It's terrible for Tannehill, but you got to take the sure points, because you don't even expect necessarily it'll be a huge game for Ben. Like I said, without James Conner, they'll probably pass the ball more, but how much would they really need to pass the ball? Baltimore's not going to have an offense, basically. Like everybody's of significance is missing. So I would have to keep the sure points with Tannehill.
Yeah. Hope Tannehill, like AJ Brown, makes a play and finds the end zone or something for him. But yeah, I think you've got to bite the bullet and play Tannehill. And it just is what it is this week, man. It's just a tough week.
And that's the difference between like Hinton. I mean, you could get nothing from Hinton. You could really get nothing. I mean, they might say, this sucks. Let's pull the plug. Let's put Royce Freeman in there, right? You don't know that Hinton's going to do anything as the emergency quarterback. Tannehill, at least, so he could get you something. I mean, it's not a good matchup for him. He could have a bad game. He'll probably at least get one touchdown and 200 yards. You know what I mean? So the drop off from him to Big Ben isn't that great, as opposed to, Claypool could be a top 20 receiver if that game gets played, or you could not. But Hinton could give you, he could give you negative yards, right? He could try to throw it and get intercepted. He could fumble it. I mean, honestly, he could give you negative yards.
Exactly. He could. So Taylor asks, Higgins, Hines, or I assume Jimmy Graham in half PPR. I mean, it's Hines, 100% Hines, right?
Just one of those? Then yeah, it's Hines.
Yeah. I assume just one. So yeah, it's definitely Hines. All right, yeah. Connor Miller. This seems. Oh, I don't want to. Okay, Connor Miller, Brian Hill, or Austin Eckler.
It's Eckler, and again, I get the reservations because we don't know. He hasn't played forever, but I mean, you heard the report. Significant carries. I mean, say no more.
Even if Eckler gets 10 carries and 3 or 4 catches in this offense, I'm pretty sure I like that better than whatever Brian Hill gets.
Yeah, I do like Brian Hill this week. I know I'm a little more bullish on him than you, but you can't start him over Eckler now. I wouldn't do that.
All right, Charles Sheridan III, Nick Chubb, or James Robinson, full PPR.
Easy Chubb.
Yeah, definitely Chubb. I know he doesn't really catch any passes, but it doesn't matter. He's gotten basically 20 touches in each of the 2 games since he's been back, and he'll probably get 20 touches again today in a good matchup, very good matchup.
And 100 yards in his first 2 games back. So,
all right, Olin is the best Meyer. Okay, I don't know if I got that right.
Take your word for
Drake or Mostert full PPR. I think did we do this one? Maybe not. Drake or Mostert full PPR.
I know for you it's not close, but I'll lean the same way. I'll go Mostert over Drake because
it's close. I'm not going to say it's not close because it's not like Mostert is locked into 20 plus touches. But in this offense, I know it's the Rams, but still in this offense, the way they get him involved, I think he still has tons of upside. Whereas Drake is just like, if he doesn't score, you're getting like 8 to 10 points, right? And I mean, he could score. He could score, but
he's more dependent on not just hoping for red zone work and a touchdown. He's more dependent on game flow, but also if they're going to be playing from ahead or behind. I don't think they'll be playing from behind necessarily, but yeah, Drake, you're hoping for a game script to go his way. Mostert, they're going to try to get him the ball no matter what. So yeah, I go Mostert.
So, okay, real quick, just think this is funny. I know we got a lot of questions. According to Ian Rappaport, there are people in the Broncos, this is 1 minute ago, there are people in the Broncos building who have not even met Kendall Hinton. And he's now their starting QB. So there you go. Okay, Alan C. Brian Hill or David Montgomery?
That's a tough decision. I know in PPR it would definitely be Hill. I would still go Hill, probably even standard, because I think the touchdown upside is a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's close, but I'll take Hill on that one. Jordan Householder, Mike Williams, or Christian Kirk in half PPR?
Not bad options either way, but I really like Kirk, and I mentioned this. I don't know, I mentioned it somewhere, but I like Kirk, the fact that Larry Fitzgerald also out with COVID. I don't think we mentioned that just because he hasn't really been fantasy relevant this year. But I think Kirk plays more in the slot. He might get a little uptick in targets. But again, with the Patriots secondary, yes, they have Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, and the McCourties, and they're really good in the secondary. But somehow they're allowing the most yards per target to wide receivers this year, the most. Okay, so he doesn't need to get targeted 10 times, right? And he won't because DeAndre Hopkins does that. But Hopkins is going to get the attention, right? I don't think Bill Belichick is going to game plan against Kirk. He's going to game plan against Hopkins. I think that helps Kirk, but also the fact he's going to get more work in the slot. And Patriots have been vulnerable there. So I kind of like Kirk a lot this week.
Yeah, this is close for me because these are kind of like the same guys, right? These are the big play guys in matchups where they can both make big plays, right? There's no reason to think Mike Williams can't make a big play or two against Buffalo in what should be a shootout. But I agree. I'm going to lean slightly with Christian Kirk, but I like them both this week for what they are.
And I don't dislike Williams. Again, they're probably going to be playing from behind, having to throw the ball. Williams could very well come away with a big game. So that's what makes it tough, but I like Kirk probably more.
Yadvir Pada, a tight end question. Reed, Gesicki, Eifert, or Everett, full PPR?
Well, Eifert. Okay, I wouldn't have him on the radar like at all. So let's forget about him.
I mean, Mike Glennon, he might throw to Eifert like,
yeah.
Might just freak out and throw to Eifert all game.
You know what? It's not out of the realm of possibility. Let's just put it.
Not selling you on that. Not selling you on that.
No. You lost me at Mike Glennon. But okay, here's the thing. I had Reed ahead of Gesicki heading into the weekend, but now with Fitzpatrick, that does change things because against the Jets, obviously it's a great matchup. But as much of a Tua stan as I am, I'm not going to ever say anything bad about Tua. But with Fitzpatrick and with the running backs all hurt now for Miami, we mentioned Gaskin's not back yet, and Ahmed is out. So I think they pass it enough. I think Gesicki gets the volume. I kind of crept Gesicki ahead of Reed for this week because of that, because of all the changes in Miami.
I don't know. I still got to go Reed. Every time we say this is Gesicki's time, it doesn't happen. And look, Fitzpatrick's a gunner. Yeah. Fitzpatrick's not a dink-a-dunker. He's a gunslinger, right? He's going to look downfield before he looks short. So I don't know. I still would take the safety, and I use air quotes because none of these guys are safe, but I would take the safety of Jordan Reed, with Nick Mullins, with no Ayuk, Debo coming back from injury. But again, so if you like Pierre, you go Gesicki. If you like me, you go.
Well, here's the other thing, though, because then you're right, exactly, with Fitzpatrick. But here's the difference is, number one, the Dolphins don't have any healthy receivers either. Like, they have Devontae Parker, and that's it. Like, I think Jakeem Grant's even questionable. So, and Gesicki is not your typical tight end, right? He's your physical specimen. He's not, kind of this big body. He's more like, a big receiver, and he'll work down the field. So I feel better about him getting, targeted, like I said, down the field more so. And then Reed, good chance that walking out of the tunnel, he, tears his Achilles or something. So.
Oh, that's not nice.
That wasn't nice. That wasn't nice.
Not nice, my boy.
But I would still go Gesicki. I don't believe in jinxes either. I'm not superstitious, so trust me. I wish nothing but.
No, if he gets hurt walking out of the tunnel, your mentions are going to blow up.
But I know.
All right, Sovachia Sock asks full PPR, Montgomery or Echoler? Definitely Echoler, right?
Echoler, yeah.
All right. And I guess we got to pick one of these guys, Juju, Allen Robinson, or DJ Moore. All right. No on Juju, because when you got those options, don't even risk it with Juju with the game getting canceled. So Allen Robinson or DJ Moore, full PPR. There's a good one.
That is tough. I think I did call Allen Robinson a must start. You can't sit him even with Trubisky, but do I have him over DJ Moore this week? I don't think so. And I actually think I started out with Robinson higher, but I'm creeping more up. So I think it has to be more.
Yeah, give me the upside of DJ Moore in this matchup as well. All right, Connor Miller. Man, we are getting a lot of Brian Hill, Austin Eckler questions, which I guess is to be expected. All right, so it's half-point PPR. He's got to pick one of these guys. Hill, Eckler, Gallman, or Pittman.
Pick one of those guys. Hill, Gallman, Eckler, or
Pittman.
Or Pittman. You can only pick one of those?
Yeah.
Man, I like them all this week. I would still have to have Eckler at the highest, though.
Yeah. I still got to have Eckler the highest for sure. But I do like Pittman a lot this week.
Yeah.
All right. Heath Johnson. Good to see you, Heath, here every single week. Appreciate you. A.J. Brown or Allen Robinson?
And in that case, we might differ here. I might go with the safety of Robinson just based on the matchup. I don't sit Brown, but I don't think I have him higher than Robinson.
No, I agree with you. Because to me, Allen Robinson is one of those you play him almost every single week. And I know A.J. Brown, we saw in a tough matchup last week, he can make a play at any moment. But the last time they played Indy, it didn't go very well. So I think I'll take Allen Robinson as well. But I mean, A.J. Brown could still have a monster game because he can break 10 tackles, right, and go to the house. We've seen it. And then he also asks, Ebron or Tunyon?
Well, just based on what we're predicting, that game, might not get played. You probably just stick with Tunyon.
Yeah, in a vacuum, it would be Ebron for me, but based on the risk of the game, just roll out Tunyon. He can catch a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers. All right, Giovanni Perez, he's always here, man. Appreciate you too. Josh Allen or Justin Herbert? There's a good one.
And we kind of discussed them, I think, in two separate previous question sets. So I do have Josh Allen a little higher. I know the concern John Brown's on IR now, which, by the way, we haven't had any Cole Beasley questions. Cole Beasley, a really nice play this week.
Yes.
But I would still go with Josh Allen because here's the difference. He's got the rushing upside. He could definitely run in a score, whereas Herbert isn't doing that. So, Herbert could easily put up 300 yards, but I still have to have Allen higher.
Yeah, I got Allen a little bit higher too, but it's close. They're both great options this week. All right, Jello, Chris Godwin or Cooper Kupp, full PPR?
Jello to you too.
It might be
Jello.
Kupp or Godwin, full PPR?
Kupp or Godwin. I would probably, and I'm struggling here because I'm looking again. I always refer to where do I have them ranked heading into the weekend? They're right next to each other. They're like this. Okay, I have them 17 and 18 at wide receiver. I have Godwin just a little bit ahead based on matchup. And Kansas City has been a tough pass defense, but not as tough lately as they were at the beginning of the year. So I feel like, again, Tampa Bay is going to have to pass the ball enough. I like Godwin just a little bit more.
I like Kupp a little bit more. Again, like you said, I think he gets a better coverage in this one. Can avoid Richard Sherman. He could have 10 targets, whereas Godwin, Evans, AB, Gronk even mixed in, Leonard Fournette getting passes. There's a lot of mouths to feed there. I like Kupp a little bit more. It's close. So once again, if you like Pierre, you go with Godwin. If you like me, you go with Kupp. And good luck with whatever you choose. Hopefully it works out. All right, LTMX. Full PPR for his flex. Nyheim Hines, Chris Godwin, Chris Carson. Pick one. Full PPR.
Okay, so in that case, I lean towards one of the running backs, and I do have Carson a little bit higher than Hines.
Yeah, I think you got to start Carson as well. I agree. Another question from Giovanni Perez. Full PPR, Godwin or Pittman?
I love me some Pittman. I've been talking about him last 2-3 weeks. I don't know how it is, but I still would go Godwin in this particular matchup, just because, again, we can't assume for sure that he's going to get fed, because Phillip Rivers, he's been good lately, but again, it could not happen for him. They spread the ball around. So I would still, just for this week, slightly lean Godwin.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I do really like Pittman, but you're right. There's always risk that Phillip Rivers only throws the ball 15 times. And Nyheim Hines gets 7 or 8 of those, right? So, yeah. All right, Nate Ledwith, full PPR, pick one. Antonio Brown, Jamison Crowder, T. Higgins. Let's eliminate Higgins. So Antonio Brown, Jamison Crowder, Jalen Reagor, Jordan Wilkins, Benny Snell. Let's eliminate those two. So pick one between Antonio Brown, Crowder, or Reagor.
Wow, just one of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm big on Rager this week. I would have him over Antonio Brown because again, you're talking about the number one receiver for a team in Philly as opposed to the I don't know 2, 3, maybe one. I don't know what you
Yeah.
consider AB in Tampa Bay. It's just a little risky. It's Seattle. You can't ignore that. So I like Rager over AB. Do you agree with me on that point before we move on?
Yes, I agree with you. Rager over AB.
Okay. So then we're down to okay, you said
Rager.
Crowder.
Yeah.
I have Rager a little bit ahead of Crowder. I know it's not a bad spot for Crowder because Darnold's back and he seems to favor Crowder as opposed to Joe Flacco seemed to favor just chucking it deep to whoever like Perriman. And the Dolphins are a really good defense, obviously, but if they are susceptible, it's to the slot receiver because you got a guy like Nick Needham, playing the slot as opposed to Xavier Howard on the outside. But do you trust Crowder over Rager? Probably not this week.
Yeah, it's tough. If Flacco was playing, it would for sure be Rager. Darnold makes Crowder interesting again, right? Because he could have one of those games where he has, 9 catches for 100 yards, right? He averages like 9 yards a catch, but he catches 9 of them, so it doesn't matter.
And this is also a floor ceiling question, basically, right? Crowder is going to get targeted. We know he could put up that big lane, but Rager could have a monster game, but also he's more risky. So if you want the safest play, it would be Crowder, but I don't play it safe. Usually I would rather have Rager.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna cop out on this one and say if you're just looking for a safe floor, like if you had some big Thursday games and you're projected to win your matchup by a ton of points, and you don't want the risk of Rager having like one catch, play Crowder. If you want the upside, go Rager. There, I'm copping out.
You can do that.
All right, Kamui X24. I want to start Matt Breida over Carson. Should I? No, definitely not. Do not start Matt Breida over Chris Carson. No way.
Do not.
Kevin Luna. Fitzmagic or Taysom Hill?
I got to stick with Taysom Hill. It's not a sure thing that Fitzmagic is going to go for 300 yards just because it's the Jets, right? He's been a little rusty. He's been on the bench, and they might not need to throw the ball a lot. I know they probably will just because they don't have anybody at running back, like I said. But yeah, don't get too cute in this case. You keep Taysom Hill in your lineup.
Yeah, I agree. Taysom Hill. Matt Daly, we've talked about this one. Wilkins or Benny Snell. You got to play Wilkins. We don't love Wilkins, but at least we know his game is going to get played, and he's going to get you fantasy points. Benny Snell's game might not get played. And even if it does, we don't even know what Benny Snell is going to do. So definitely Wilkins. Craft Keepers, Matt Breida or Leonard Fournette?
Leonard Fournette. Breida, we got to see him do something. I mean, he's been relegated. We got guys like Ahmed playing ahead of him, elevated from the practice squad. Obviously, there's something going on. Either Breida's just not 100% or he's just not shown much this year. The team doesn't seem to have a lot of faith in him. So I have to kind of lose faith in him. And I know that's your guy. You love Breida, but you wouldn't start him over Fournette, would you?
No, definitely not. I mean, we know Fournette's going to be involved. We know he's going to be involved in the passing game. I can't start Breida. I love Breida too. I love the player, but I can't start him this week. No way. Okay, it's Slime Slat Love. The same question. Wilkins or Snell? Wilkins. John Campbell. Kendall Hinton or Mike Davis in flags?
That would be Mike Davis, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you're going to get from Mike Davis. We have no idea what we're going to get from Kendall Hinton. Like Pierre said, he could start the game. They could do nothing, and then they could just go to like the Wildcat with Royce Freeman the rest of the game, and he gets you nothing. There's no guarantee. It's not like he's going to take every snap. It's not guaranteed here. So, all right. Lucius Varenus 44. My whole season is down to this week. Well, better get it right then. Well, he wants to pick his whole lineup. That's going to be tough. So let's start with, so he has an interesting quarterback decision, Brady or Fitz.
I would still stick with Brady because, again, even though the matchup looks like it's in Fitzpatrick's favor, the game flow could go in Brady's favor. So I'd go with the guy who has the 3 amazing receivers as opposed to the guy who has like Devontae Parker.
Yeah, definitely Brady. For your 2 running backs, it's got to be Echoler and Kamara, right? His other choices are Sanders or Hines. It's definitely Echoler Kamara.
Sanders. Wow. Yeah, but not over those guys. Yeah, I'd still go Eckler over Sanders. Based on the
Kamara
matchup.
for sure. Kamara's a must.
Yeah,
Then
Kamara's
for his two wide receivers, Godwin, Cup, or Metcalf.
I still stick with Metcalf, even though he might get Slay. I know you're not too worried about that, but also
he's gonna destroy Darius Slater. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't think he'll destroy him, but I think you can't bench DK Metcalf no matter what. And then Cup or who? Godwin. We've had a lot of Cup versus Godwin questions.
Yeah, we have.
And then I think we already answered. I have I have Godwin slightly ahead.
Okay, and then for his flex, Sanders, right? Miles Sanders.
If it's down to those choices, yeah, you can start Sanders.
There you go. There's your lineup: Brady, Eckler, Sanders, Kamara, Metcalf, Godwin. Good luck. I hope you win. All right, Hergo Daniel Hernandez, another Brian Hill. Brian Hill or Gio?
I'm going with Hill. Oof. Gio just hasn't done much, even with Joe Burrow back there the last couple of weeks. He really hasn't done much.
I'll probably go Brian Hill too, but I feel like Gio's gonna do. I feel like they're just gonna try to lean on the running game. He's gonna dump it off a lot to Gio, but I'll go with Brian Hill. All right, Gio or Damian Harris. This is Kai Dudding. Gio or Damian Harris. Sonny Michel is active, by the way, if it matters.
Not worried about that. You know, I love me some Damian Harris. I'm going with Harris.
I got to go Gio here. Just too worried that they're going to be in it. They're going to have to throw. They're going to have to throw too much, and he's going to be game scripted out because he doesn't catch passes, unfortunately. I like the player, but he doesn't catch passes. I'm just worried about that game script against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. If Arizona jumps out early, then that could hurt. But New England has shown they want to run the ball anyways. I mean, again, they're hurting a wide receiver, right? So I feel like they'll still at least try to establish run. And Harris might only get, 15 carries, but that's a 100-yard game for him. So
true. That's true. All right, Shine G, full PPR, Robbie Anderson or Aguilar?
It got to be Anderson.
Yeah, definitely Robbie Anderson. GMB Jeff 021, another Brian Hill. Brian Hill or Jalen Reagor. Now, he didn't specify scoring format, but I don't know if it matters. But maybe it does.
That's interesting, right? You're going with opposites here. I would stick with Hill, not just because blindly saying pick a running back over the wide receiver. I know Reagor has that boom potential, but Hill will have an easier path to points. So I would still take the safety of Hill.
I'm a gambler. I'm going Jalen Reagor. I really think Brian Hill is not going to do anything, but we'll see. But Jalen Reagor might not do anything either. So, all right. Marek Lasik. Hey guys, love these game time streams. Thank you. Appreciate that. We love doing them. So you got to pick one. Corey Davis, Tim Patrick. No Tim Patrick. No Broncos pass catchers. None. They may not even throw the ball in this game. So Tim Patrick's out. So Corey Davis or Christian Kirk.
That's a slam dunk for me. It's Kirk. Love Kirk this week. Davis is a terrible matchup.
Yeah, definitely agree. Christian Kirk. And then how do you feel about Hines? Like him? In PPR, especially like him, top 20, top 15, somewhere around there?
Let me tell you very specifically how much I like him. I have him, and let me tell you also some guys. I tweak these as we go because we talk about it and makes things come up, and of course we get late news. In fact, I've seen that Julio Jones is now officially out. I don't know if we had him officially as out before, but he's out. Gio is in. Some things that are important. I mean, Jalen Richard is out. I mean, that's how can you set your lineup if you don't know that? But I like Nyheim Hines to RB17 this week, which means I have him sandwiched between Brian Hill and Damian Harris, who are both guys I really like this week.
All right, there you go. Colton Cash, another Tunyon or Reed question. Reed, right? We both agree?
Reed, yeah.
Yeah, Reed.
Venky makes it out of the tunnel, okay.
You're going to jinx him.
Which you will.
Venky Surya Devara, another Brian Hill. Brian Hill or Gus Edwards. It's Hill simply because you can't run the risk of that game being canceled. Brian Hill. And it's probably Brian Hill anyways.
Definitely Hill. I would have Brian Hill anyways, yeah.
GMB Jeff 021, Debo Samuels or Michael Pittman? In standard scoring. Standard scoring.
It's standard scoring. Okay. And so in that case, and I was wondering if we'd get a Debo question. Debo's always kind of a mystery here because, again, he hasn't played since like week 7. And with Ayuk out, I mean, this could be actually a big game for Debo. He's kind of a sneaky tournament play if y'all are still putting DraftKings lineups together, because I'm guaranteeing his price is probably pretty low. So I actually don't mind putting Samuel, but would I put him over Pittman? No, I don't think so.
I can't do it. Not this week. Pittman. Pittman is a choice. Anton Montes. Another Gio or Wilkins?
Again, I'm not crazy about Gio this week, but yeah, I'd still go with the guy who's the RB1 on his team and probably going to get, a fair amount of work as opposed to Wilkins. You just don't know in that offense.
Yeah, Gio Bernard, definitely. AK. Taysom Hill, Daniel Jones, or Fitzmagic?
Not Daniel Jones. I still go with Taysom Hill.
Yeah, so we had Hill versus Fitz before, and we said Hill. I agree, Hill over Daniel Jones. And then he also asked pick 2. Wow. Justin Jefferson, Chris Carson, Kareem Hunt, and Devontae Parker.
Man.
I like all 4 of those. I like all 4 of those guys this week.
Okay. Well, we got to pick 2. Okay. So Carson, Hunt, who?
Parker and Jefferson.
I think Jefferson has to be one. So Carson or Hunt, I would say for the other spot. I have Hunt a little bit higher, just based on the matchup. So I would go with Hunt.
Yeah, Jefferson and Hunt, although I really like Carson too, and I really like Parker. So but I think Jefferson and Hunt is the play. All right, Christian Toma. Quick question. Big Ben or Ryan Fitzpatrick? You got to play Fitzpatrick. You can't take a chance, especially like Fitzpatrick could easily score as many points as Big Ben. And you can't run the risk of Big Ben not even having a game. And then Tyler Boyd or Chase Claypool. And I think this is the one time where I'm going to pick Tyler Boyd just again, because you might get a 0 from Chase Claypool if that game's canceled. Tyler Boyd, he's good. It's just the situation that sucks. So, but I think you still got to play Boyd, right? Do you agree?
But he should still give you a few points. I mean, even if it is, has his worst game of the year, that's something as opposed to nothing. And again, it's not a big drop off there, as opposed to the other question we had, Chase Claypool or Kendall Hinton, who again, I really think could give you negative points, right? If he goes back there and tries to throw a pass and gets picked off, he fumbles the ball, he does nothing, gets sacked for losses. He could give you negative points, and Claypool could give you 0. So if you have somebody who at least is a decent option, yeah, you go with Boyd.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Darren Kelly, Crowder or Pittman? Let's assume PPR. He didn't specify, but we'll assume PPR.
That's close. Again, both good choices. Still would prefer Pittman in this matchup, but Crowder's a pretty good choice.
Yeah, again, I kind of look at this as like the floor versus ceiling. What do you need? But I would want to roll with Pittman because I like the ceiling. All right, Gronk or Tunyon? Robert Washington, Gronk or Tunyon? We're getting a lot of Tunyon questions today. Did I miss something?
Well, it's because Mark Andrews is out.
Well, that's true. I guess people
Kittle's not available. Ebron might not play. I mean, tight end is just kind of a wasteland right now. I'm not a Gronk fan. I haven't been all year, but in this situation, who's got the upside? I still would actually have Gronk because we've seen Sternberger's kind of getting involved. Tunyon had that one big game. Like, he might get you a touchdown, but so could Gronk. So I feel like I'd rather have Gronk.
Yeah, and even though the connection hasn't been there, Gronk has been getting targeted lately. So I like Gronk out of those two as well.
I know this isn't waiver or start sit or anything like that, but again, you got a guy like Noah Fant. Like, you can't start Noah Fant this week because of the whole situation. There's so many tight ends that hurt you. If you didn't play Logan Thomas, who would have been a smart pickup, it's not too late. Well, it's almost too late. But like, if you get a guy like Kyle Rudolph and sneak him in your lineup, I like him better than Robert Tunyon. You know what I mean? Because Irv Smith isn't playing, and neither is Adam Thielen. So Rudolph is kind of a nice play at tight end.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any Rudolph questions, but yeah, he is a sneaky start this week for sure. Cassidy Williams, Evan Ingram, Eric Ebron, no to Ebron. Don't even chance it. Or Jordan Reed to replace Andrews. I think we both agree on this one.
Ingram.
Definitely love the matchup. Love the involvement. Father of three. Derek Carr or Ryan Fitz? Derek Carr or Ryan Fitzpatrick? He's just Fitz now, right? He's Fitz or Fitzpatrick. That's all he is, right?
Yeah, you don't need a first name either. Derek Carr. I mean, good matchup, safer play.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, like you said, that they just lean on the run game, and it's one of those where he only throws the ball 20 times.
To me, the Falcons' pass defense is just too bad to ignore.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, Derek Carr. You sold me. Derek Carr.
Well, actually, let me tell you what. I didn't even know this until I just double-checked right now. You know, the Seahawks have been historically bad against receivers. Seahawks are second worst now to quarterbacks. The Falcons have passed them as being the worst pass defense. As far as fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, no team gives up more fantasy points per game to quarterbacks than the Atlanta Falcons. So there you go.
Derek Carr. And he looked good last week against Chiefs, and Taysom Hill looked good last week against Falcons. So Derek Carr.
Yep.
All right, CD or CW 197779. Hayden Hurst, Dallas Goedert. Oh, here we go. Kyle Rudolph. We got a Kyle Rudolph question. Full PPR. Hurst, Goddard, or Rudolph? And Hurst is playing, by the way.
Okay, I was about to say Hurst has been questionable, but even if he plays, he's got this weird split where he does worse when Julio isn't playing. You think, oh, Julio's not playing. No, Hayden Hurst has his best games with Julio on the field, and it's an opposite thing. So just scratch Hurst for those reasons. And Ertz isn't playing, so I think Goddard would be the play here.
Yeah, Goddard right now is an every week must start at tight end for me. And that's not because I have him, I love him as much as I love Travis Kelce. It's just because you look at tight end, you got to start him. And especially with Ertz not back, you got to start him. Boyd. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Blizz 001. Boyd or Aguilar?
Ooh. Boyd or that's. I hate to keep saying floor ceiling, but you want a chance for a big play. I just talked about Atlanta, how terrible their defense is. But Aguilar, I mean, either he makes a big play, gets a touchdown, or he could do nothing. Boyd, there's a very slim chance Boyd has a monster game, but there's also probably a lot less chance that he gets you a 0. Man, I would probably let you answer first.
I would still play Tyler Boyd. I just feel safer about it. I know Aguilar's got the good matchup, but man, he has those games where last week against the Chiefs, he looks great, and then he has those games where it's where's Aguilar? Is he even playing? So I feel a little better about Boyd. All right, we got 20 minutes. We still got a lot of questions, so we're gonna have to go rapid fire here. Guys, we're not gonna be able to give you our full reasoning behind it because we want to get to all the questions. We want to help all of you. So you're just gonna have to take our word for it at this point on. We got a lot of questions still. All right, Lucas Garner, right. Mike Evans or Pittman full PPR?
Man, so many Pittman questions. I would rather have Pittman. That would make me feel better because I still can't trust Evans.
I still got to go Evans. He gets the red zone work. He gets targeted. I got to go Evans against KC, but it's close. So if you like Pierre, you go Pittman. If you like me, you go Evans. All right, David Vanderwick, Hurst or Goddard full PPR? We basically just answered this. It's Goddard. Blake Pileski, Herbert or Rodgers? There's an interesting one. Herbert or Rodgers?
And that's a close call. I have a league where I have both those quarterbacks, and I have to decide every week. This week, I'm sticking with Rodgers, actually, because I'm not too scared of the Bears in this sense. So
yeah, it's really close, but I gotta trust Aaron Rodgers. All right, Salim Kashwani, Boyd Shepard, David Montgomery, Brian Hill, Sami Watkins, no, Debo. He needs 3 of those guys and half PPR. So no Boyd for me, no Watkins. So Sterling Shepard, David Montgomery, Brian Hill, or Debo. He needs 3.
I would stick with actually I kind of like Debo. I would stick with Debo and probably Montgomery and Hill.
You don't like Shepard this week against the Bengals?
I don't dislike him, but I don't. I just don't feel like the ceiling is there. I feel good that Hill might score a touchdown. I feel like Debo might be super involved out of necessity in that game. Shepard's he's okay for me, but he's just kind of playing it too safe.
I feel like Monty and Brian Hill are just okay too. I would go Shepard, Debo, and Hill personally. They're all just kind of okay. There's nobody in there where I'm like, oh, you got to play that guy. All right, Ali Ellis, pick 2. Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin. A lot of Thomas questions, a lot of Godwin questions today. Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, Chase Claypool. Well, you can't when you have those options, just bench Chase Claypool. Don't run the risk. Thomas and Godwin, right? All right,
if those are the choices. That's it.
Yeah, Lil Rami 45. Pick 2. Metcalf, Michael Thomas, Aguilar, or Brian Hill. I think this is pretty clear, but go ahead.
Pick 2. It's the first 2.
Yeah, Metcalf and Michael Thomas. You're welcome, Heath. Have a great day as well. Good luck today. Hope you win. Yale Granados, Adams or JJ? JJ. Who's JJ? Justin Jefferson. Must be Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson.
Devontae Adams, there's no question there. He's the top receiver.
He's in your lineup every single week. There's no wide receiver you start over Devontae Adams this year.
Ever.
All right, Shelton Mayfield, Smith. So Jonnu Smith or Dallas Goedert?
Goddard for sure.
Yep, definitely Dallas Goedert. Connor Miller, Rank, Mike Davis, Devontae Parker, Pittman Jr., and Brian Hill, Gallman, Echoler. I don't know if we have time for this.
How many players do we got?
Echoler, I'm going to try to do it real quick. Echoler, Thomas, Parker, Gallman, Pittman, Hill. Do you agree with that? Half PPR?
I have Gallman over Hill.
Yeah.
Parker, I'll agree.
Echoler, Thomas.
Echoler first.
Echoler, yes. Thomas, Michael Thomas, Parker. Uh-huh. Gallman or Pittman is close for me in half PPR, and then Hill.
I would still have Gallman. I feel like he's going to get the touches for sure. So yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Marco Reynoso, Godwin, Boyd, or AJ Brown. Pick 2.
Godwin and Brown.
Yep. Agree. Correct. We don't know that. I agree. QT point for you. QT Raptor. Should I start both Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore? Yes. I think you could start them both this week. You agree?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what your other options are, but I would say you don't need to worry about either guy. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey when he gets back, or Swift against the Packers D for playoffs. Watch the video tomorrow to get that answer, but it's Christian McCaffrey. Come on. It's Christian McCaffrey. This is the reason the guy was the number 1 pick. He's averaging 30 points per game in his 3 games, guys. If he played this whole season, he'd be the number 1 player without question.
Don't not start Christian McCaffrey like ever, even if he's this. Oh, he's only going to play 1 quarter. This I don't care. Still start him.
He can get 30 points in 1 quarter. It doesn't matter. All right, full PPR. Samuel Rodriguez, full PPR. Goddard or Hooper?
That's close for me. I would still go with Goddard though, just because Hooper has let down that Browns offense in terms of pass offense. Could let down, even though the matchup makes it think it should be Hooper, but I would still go with Goddard.
Yeah, they might just run the ball 50 times and throw it once. All right, McCrawler XE, Gronk or Ebron? Well, you got to go Gronk just because you can't chance Ebron. Sam Mitchell, full PPR, Eckler or Drake?
Eckler for sure.
Yep, definitely. Timothy Park, Lazard, Landry, or Jacoby Myers at flex? There's an interesting one. We haven't had a Jacoby Myers question today.
You talked about this, I think, last week, Chris. We have to be off of Jarvis Landry, not through any fault of his own, but what I just said, the Browns pass offense is just not doing it. Even though it's Jacksonville, the upside just isn't there. I think I'd go with Jacoby Myers in this game because they could have to pass the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, I know he didn't really get targeted last week, but I think that changes this week. Out of those 3, I'm going Myers as well. Sven 1 FR Vila still here, man. Appreciate it. Evan Ingram or Jonnu Smith, full PPR?
Easily Ingram.
Yep, easily Ingram. Mr. Crowler XD, Beasley, AB, or Aguilar at flex? There's an interesting one. Our first Beasley question.
I did mention Beasley earlier. I definitely have Beasley over Aguilar. You know what? I probably start Beasley over AB also, just because Again, John Brown not out. Beasley's production does pump up when that happens. And, if the Chargers can at least keep it close, which with that offense they should be able to, I feel like they're going to keep passing the ball enough. I like Beasley.
Yep, I agree. Beasley, Jack Green, Deontay Johnson. Nope. Can't start him, especially with your other options. So we're going to scratch him. So
sorry.
I know it's terrible. It's terrible, but you can't do it. But he has good options. He's got Chris Godwin, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, or Hines in full PPR. He's got to start 2 with 1 flex. So out of those 4, who are you benching? Godwin, Brown, DJ Moore, Hines. Who are you benching out of those 4?
I'm starting Moore. I'm starting Godwin. And then so you said AJ Brown?
Yeah, AJ Brown or Nyheim Hines.
Oh man, that's really close. I would probably stick with Hines, honestly.
Ooh, I was gonna say I have to bench Hines. I can't. It's not like Hines is guaranteed. I know he had a big game against Tennessee last time, but it's not guaranteed that's what's gonna happen. I can't bench AJ Brown. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's tough, but again, just because Jonathan Taylor is out, that makes me feel good enough about Hines.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, definitely Godwin and DJ Moore, and then pick your poison between Brown and Hines. All right, Ali Ellis, another Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith or Austin Hooper?
Hooper,
yeah. Nathan Swartz, Lockett or Mike Thomas?
Ooh, interesting. Close, but based on the way the game should go, going with Lockett.
I agree, Lockett. Philip Fisher, need 2 full PPR. Wilkins, no. Rojo, probably not. Edwards-Helaire, maybe. Brian Hill, Russell Gage. Needs 2 full PPR.
Ooh, I didn't see Russell Gage coming. Out of those, I would stick with Edwards-Helaire and same again.
Rojo or Brian Hill or Russell Gage, if that's your thing.
Brian Hill.
Yeah, Edwards-Helaire and Brian Hill. Homebred 4806. Should I start Boyd or AJ Brown PPR?
That's AJ Brown.
Yep, AJ Brown. Emmy, it to be Claypool. No, we already talked about this. Beasley or Boyd. Standard scoring though changes things a little bit.
Yeah, that makes me feel better even more about Beasley because I feel much better chance to get a touchdown. So I'm going Beasley.
Yep, Beasley. Jack Green. Oh, no, we just did that question. Okay. Fenda, AJ Brown or Antonio Brown in PPR, the 2 Browns.
Still going AJ. No, not a great matchup like we keep saying, and he didn't have a good game 2 weeks ago, but like I said, it's AJ Brown. You never know with him.
Yeah, AJ Brown. Richard Carter, Echoler or Gallman?
Echoler.
The 2K YouTuber, Pittman or Giovanni Bernard?
I would lean Pittman. I'm not sure if you feel that way, though.
I do. No, I feel that way. I think he's got too much upside to ignore this week. Cleveland D, Taylor. Cleveland D or Seattle D?
Ooh, I'm kind of annoyed at Seattle D because I just tried to pick him up and got outbid. But yeah, Cleveland is too good of a spot. I would go with Cleveland.
Yes, I agree. Cleveland, they've been playing great. They got Jacksonville. Go with them. Ashton Springer, Beasley or AB? We just answered this one. Beasley. Garrett Dodd, Chris Godwin or Edwards-Helaire PPR?
Still go with Godwin. I'm not really high on Edwards-Helaire. I know last week I told you I was kind of feeling it might be an Edwards-Helaire week. I'm not saying I called it that he was going to have a big game, but I'm not feeling Edwards-Helaire this week. So
no, Godwin. All right, TH, Rager or Juju standard scoring? You got to play Rager. You can't run the risk of that game being played. Cash Mustafa. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Echoler or Sanders in PPR? Miles Sanders.
Still go with Echoler. The Seattle defense, say what you will about it, but they've been at least somewhat better the last 2 games, and they haven't been that bad against running backs. It's been against receivers. So Sanders, of course, doesn't matter. He can still pop off a 70-yard run anytime, but Echoler, I think, is going to get more work. So I'd go with Echoler.
Yeah, it's really close, but I agree. A slight edge to Echoler. Miles Winley, Mike Davis or Brian Hill for full PPR?
Lean Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis. Jonathan Lee, Robbie Anderson, or Michael Pittman?
Close. That's close. I would probably have to give the edge to Anderson though.
Yep, I agree. Anderson. We got 9 minutes, guys. Wow, amazing. Johnny Sousa, Hunter, Chris Carson, full PPR. I think we've answered this one.
Yeah, it's close, but I think we both got Hunt a little bit ahead.
Just slightly ahead. Pittman or Fournette?
Pittman.
Yes. John Doe, Mostert or Gio Bernard? I think we've answered this one, but maybe not.
I don't know if we've answered that directly. I would probably lean toward Mostert. I know it's a little more risky, but yeah, go with Mostert.
Yeah, I agree. Mostert. Shelton Mayfield, Josh Allen, or Derek Carr? I mean, definitely Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Josh Allen. Great spot for Carr, but yeah, Josh Allen, it's hard to bench.
Yeah. Sven on our FRF. Vila, good luck, buddy. I hope you win. All right, Nathan Schwartz, Eckler, or Damian Harris? I mean, I know you're a Damian Harris guy, but come on.
Yeah, but I'm an Eckler fan too. You know, a lot of people were off Eckler. He was going to be a bust this year. Well, he got hurt, right? He was averaging 100 yards from scrimmage in the games he played before he got hurt. So it's, Eckler for sure.
Aldin Taharovic, we did not skip it. We answered your question, buddy. But if we missed it, ask it again right now and we'll answer it. Ask it. But I'm pretty sure we answered it. Ricardo Milos, my hero. Josh Allen or Kyler Murray?
Josh Allen or Kyler Murray? Let me check real quick. Not super worried about the matchup for Kyler Murray, but I actually think I have Josh Allen just a little bit ahead of him. So I would go with Allen.
Yeah, I might go Murray. I am a little nervous about the John Brown thing because, I mean, you look at those 4 or 5 games where John Brown was out before, he wasn't putting up those monster numbers. I know the matchup is great. I might just go with Murray, just feel a little safer. And it's not like Kyler Murray doesn't have a ceiling. He's got a pretty big ceiling.
True.
But it's close. I mean, they're both great options. Yanni Hahalis, Gallman or Carson? Chris Carson.
It's close, but I give the edge to Carson.
Yep, I agree. Christian Pena, Miles Sanders or Mike Davis?
Miles Sanders or Mike Davis? Ooh. I have these guys neck and neck too. I think I have Sanders just a little bit ahead though.
Yeah, for me it's Sanders. I feel like this is another Mike Davis do nothing week. Like the matchup isn't great. He's not getting involved in the passing game anymore. He's not getting 8-9 targets anymore. I mean, the matchup's not terrible against Minnesota, but I just feel like it's another one of those. He gets his 60 yards and a couple catches, and that's all he does. And then we don't have to worry about Mike Davis, hopefully, for the rest of the season. Clark Rubier, Matt Ryan, or Cam Newton? I mean,
definitely Newton. He's your guy this week.
Yeah, Newton. Okay, so apparently Alden's question was Snell, Edwards, or Wilkins, but we answered that in the very beginning. That was one of the first questions we answered. Maybe he laughed.
That was like the first one.
Yeah, it was like the first question. We answered it. It's Wilkins because you can't trust Snell or Edwards being benched. You can't trust it. So it's not like
I feel like that was the very first question. Like I'd say in a vacuum, I would say Edwards would be highest ranked, but I'm not touching that game, so it's Wilkins.
Exactly, and that was your exact answer for the very first question of the show. Maybe he left and came back though. I don't know. But anyways, there you go, Alden. Wilkins. Christian Payne.
Chris, before you did the last couple of questions, this might be a good time. Those who've been watching or still watching, we're starting up a Discord channel. Yes. Follow us at Any Game of Fantasy. We'll tweet out the link, but check out Discord. It's Fantasy Football Endgame, and we'll try to provide links. I also have it pinned to my Twitter profile. It's at roto_chef. So go there on Twitter, add us on Discord, and we can do start, sit, waiver, whatever discussions. We're trying to build a community here, right? We love our following, so let's keep it going there. All right, let's get to the last of the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be on there all day for sure because I'm at my in-laws. As you can see, I have this crazy beard going because I didn't bring anything to shave. So I'm just going to be sitting on the couch watching football all day. So I'll be on the Discord channel if you guys want to chat on there. And then actually we made it. The last question, Christian Pena. Okay, A. Brown. I don't know if that's AJ or Antonio, but since he didn't say AJ, I'm going to assume Antonio Brown.
I would assume.
So Antonio Brown, Sterling Shepard, T. Higgins. Definitely not T. Higgins. So Antonio Brown or Sterling Shepard.
And this one's close. I probably slightly lean towards Antonio Brown. I'm just not feeling Shepard's going to do anything great this week. I don't know if you feel that way too, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Antonio Brown. I mean, I will say one thing about Antonio Brown. The last 2 weeks, Tom Brady, he overthrew him on a wide open, like 50-yard touchdown. And then, well, I say last week, it feels like a long time ago because it was the Thursday game of last week. Just off the fingertips on another deep ball when he had his guy beat. So maybe this is the week where they connect. And yes, Christian Pena did clarify it was Antonio Brown. All right, we actually got one more question came in. Smitty, Allen, here's an interesting one. Allen Robinson or Robert Woods?
Got to go down Robinson.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little nervous about Robert Woods in that matchup. I like Allen Robinson this week. So, all right, guys, we got to them all. Wow.
Well, that's good timing because you got about 1.5 minutes till kickoff. But much love to all of you who have been staying with us, and especially those here each and every week. We appreciate it. Couldn't do this without you, but that's why we do it, just to try to help you, give some insight. You know, we got no skin in the game. It's we're here to try to help our viewers. We love doing this too. So each and every week we'll be here 2 hours before kickoff, end game live, the whole time to help answer your questions. And of course, check out the next couple of days for those waiver wire articles, those smart pickups to help you for the fantasy playoffs, because I know all you guys are going to make the playoffs, right? All right. And then Chris, tell one more time about the Discord channel, because you're going to be on there starting right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to get the link. Or do you have the link handy? Oh, you can't paste in the chat, can you? I'm getting the link right now, guys. I should have done this in the beginning. Total brain fart on my part. But I'm going to –
We got time. Guys, stick around. You know, you set your lineups first, and once your lineups are set, stick around. We're going to give that link right now so you can join us in the Discord.
Yeah. Sorry, my internet is very slow over here.
Yeah.
Is there – how do they find us on the Discord if they don't have the link, Pierre? You know Discord better than I do.
I know a little bit about Discord. We're still learning it a little bit. I think you should be able to do a search.
Fantasy Endgame?
Should be able to. Is that what the name of it? We're just Fantasy Endgame. Just like on Twitter, we're I think at Endgame Fantasy.
Fantasy Football Endgame. You guys can probably search us on there. The link is taking forever, and the games are about to kick off. So, but the links are also, I put them in the description of our videos. So, anyways. Well, there you go, guys. If you want to join us on Discord, just do a search for Fantasy Football Endgame. You'll see our logo. You'll see Pierre and I. I know I'll be on there all day. I'm sure Pierre will be in and out as well.
Absolutely.
So, all right. I think we got it.
All right. There you go. So thanks again for joining us. Good luck in week 12. And again, if you haven't hit subscribe, there's no reason to wait. Hit subscribe, catch all our videos.